Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a beautiful Thursday in Nashville, Tennessee. And as you can tell, we are nowhere near a studio. We're out at Hermitage Golf Course. Kelly, say hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Billy, can you say hello?
Hello.
Okay, so up front, this is going to be a 2-hour potpourri of nonsense. Who knows where we're going with the show today? The format will clearly be a little different than normal. And joining us right off the bat from Chicago, and hopefully, because he doesn't have a lot of time, he'll skip the critique of my golf game. Let's say hello to Will Perdue up in the Windy City. Will, how are you?
Doing good, George. George, listen, is this like Seinfeld? Is this a remedial show? Like Uncle Leo? Hello.
That's a good point. It's a very good point. So given that you are short of time, let's just get right to it. Is it OKC and the Indiana Pacers, or do you give the Knicks any level of chance to somehow come back?
Well, I give the Knicks a chance, but I wouldn't bet on it. I mean, anything can happen, but excuse me, I think it's going to be OKC and the Pacers. I mean, listen, I picked OKC at the beginning of the season because of how good they were, the experience they got last year, and I just feel like they're the best team, period. And also, I think this was justified this year, by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander winning the MVP. I thought he should have won it last year, but he didn't. That's okay. So, that gave him more motivation. You're seeing him play along with how his team is playing. And I think they're playing the best of any team in the league right now. I think the best and most entertaining series would definitely be against Indiana and not the Knicks.
So let me try it this way. When Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it's hard to say that.
There you go.
When he came out of Kentucky, did you think he would be this good?
I really didn't know. I was very fortunate, George, and at the time I was working, for my agent, Untitled, and I got a chance to work with Shai before the draft. And I met, his dad, and they were out in L.A. the whole time preparing for the individual workouts. I knew how good he was, but the thing that impressed me the most wasn't his physical ability, but it was his basketball IQ and his intelligence of how he looked at things, how he approached things, and not just basketball, but life in general. I mean, we had some pretty in-depth conversations at dinners that you just don't think about a kid that young showing that much maturity. And I think it shows in the type of person that he is, the way he plays the game, how he does the interviews, how thoughtful he is. I mean, he checks all the boxes. It's one of those things. Everybody talks about where the league is going, and I know some people have talked about, Ann as the face of the league, but I think they might be looking over maybe the best player in the league, but the guy that could really, I think, carry the torch, and that's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Okay, before I turn it over to Kelly, are you of the camp that Thibodeau should be saluted for the fact that he's gotten this far, or are you of the what is he doing? Is running his players to the ground because he uses bench enough, and that's always been his philosophy?
Well, I think you got to look at it a little different. George. You know what type of coach Thibodeau is. You know what his style is. So if you're going to hire Tom Thibodeau to coach your organization and your team, then you need to go out and get the proper players in order to do so. Brunson is one of those guys. Jimmy Butler, one of those guys. There's a lot of players in this league that are not one of those guys. This is just about, you can't necessarily go out and get a Tom Thibodeau and just bring in any team and say, okay, you guys got to adapt to his style. Some guys can't. Now, the interesting thing that I've noticed over the last two games is what Thibodeau has done as far as how deep he's gone into his bench and how many minutes he's played those guys. It's not like he's totally changed his thought process, But I think he's realized that, I have to trust these guys on the bench. And I'm not saying these guys are now playing 20, 25 minutes. I mean, he's increased their time by 3 to 5 minutes. But what that does do with TV timeouts, dead ball situations, free throws, that gives us a guy that normally plays, 40 minutes. You may see he only plays 35, but that 5-minute difference is probably actually more like 10 to 12 minutes of rest time to where they're sitting on the bench, getting their heart rate down, getting off their feet, watching what's going on in the game and recharging their batteries and giving them a chance to come back in a little fresher.
So, Kelly, you and I, actually, you and Will have something in common. Both of you have publicly, very publicly, ripped my golf game.
Well, your golf game's really bad, so it's easy to rip. I mean, understandable.
Will has seen it up close. What was the course we played? Was it the thing on the Platte River?
Yes, that is correct. We were in Nebraska or in Omaha for the College World Series, which, if things continue, we might be there again in June.
You never know.
What I want to know is why would you subject yourself to that playing golf with George? Because he asked me constantly, and I say no.
Well, I mean, listen, George is a good guy. You don't play golf with George to watch his golf. You play golf with George to listen to what he has to say because it keeps you entertained.
Correct.
But I will say this. I would almost be willing to bet that if George ever does get a hole-in-one, that his hole-in-one will be on a short par 3 to where he screams a worm burner from the tee box onto the green, smacks the flag, and drops into the hole without ever leaving the ground.
Okay, so he doesn't know the story. This was 2014, Will, and it was exactly the way you said it. Par 3 at Harpeth Hills. We hadn't had rain in forever. And so worm burners would fly. Well, this particular worm burner gets all the way up to the hole. We can't see the ball. And we're thinking, could I have hit a hole-in-one? We get up there, the ball's a couple of inches away. So I go on the air that day, Will, with the breaking news sounder that I've come very close to a hole-in-one. But God, as you know, has a sense of humor. And in the middle of my bragging, I had a kidney stone attack. This is a true story. And I break out in this cold sweat, and I'll never forget Willie looked at me as we go to the break way quicker. And Willie goes, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "Do I look all right?"
But George, you shouldn't ask that question because you may not even be having an attack, and we could ask that question.
Well, yeah, maybe. But the point was, I went to the hospital. They did a show. Gotcha. If you've ever had a kidney stone attack, you'll know what I mean.
So Will, I got 2 quick questions for you. I know you got time constraints, and I'm just going to ask. But you kind of alluded to it earlier. I was thinking you played with the greatest guy in my area, or any area played with the greatest player out there. I'm saying to play. Now, everybody, the younger generations are talking about LeBron, but LeBron's going to get there. Who's going to carry on the mantle? You talked about Gilgeous Alexander, and you talked about Anthony Edwards. Is there any other guys?
Listen, Jokic. Listen, the league is fine. It was interesting. I saw something on social this morning about, the NBA should be embarrassed about the playoffs and, the blowouts. But I think what you have to realize is when a team hits its stride, like OKC and Indiana are doing, this is what happened. This is what, when you build a team properly, and a coach, is able, and this is what every coach is trying to accomplish, right? When you can touch into each one of these guys' strengths, and this guy is playing his best basketball at the right time, and then you take, 8, 9 guys playing their best basketball. This is how a team looks. This is when you can say a team's hitting on all cylinders. And it's all about timing. There's some teams that go through the middle of the season where they win 18 out of 19, 19 out of 20. But unfortunately, that's the wrong time. And that's what gives you hope. Now, the one thing you need, and if you are not playing to your potential, is you need a Michael Jordan, a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a Jokic, an Anthony Edwards, a Jaylen Brown, a Tatum, a Giannis. You need a guy that can take over for you when your team's struggling. And that's, and the question is now, how do you get one of these guys? More times than not, you've seen the Celtics, the draft. Milwaukee, the draft, right? LA, trades. Minnesota, the draft. This is why the draft is so important. That's what's one of the things that the Bulls are kind of struggling with. They haven't necessarily hit home runs with the draft. They've hit some singles. And if that's the case, then you got to be able to go out and get a guy in free agency. But in order to do that, you got to have assets in order to make a trade to get a guy in free agency. You saw what the Lakers, were able to do. So that's the interesting thing. I mean, how good do you really want to be? And how hard are you willing to work in order to, put an organization into the best possible situation? Think about how good Oklahoma City is right now. Think about all the assets they have in order to go out and get even better. First and second round picks. They're not going to be able to sign all their guys in the future because of the salary cap. So they're going to have to make some trades. They're going to have to make some hard decisions. But they're in a position because of all the assets that they have. They could be really good for a long time. Maybe quite honestly could be the next San Antonio Spurs as far as how they win a bunch of championships, over a 6, 7, 8 year period.
Will, last question real quick. How has the big man game changed since you played? Because back when you played low, I'm sure but now you've got Jokic, you've got Giannis, you've got all these guys, Karl Anthony Towns. You got all these guys that can shoot threes, that can things. How much has it changed today as it was in your day?
I mean, it's totally different. I mean, it's, Anthony Davis is a perfect example. He, at 7'1", 7'2", he's made it known. I don't want to play in the post, right? These guys don't want the physicality aspect of being down there in the paint. But also the game has changed. It's layups or threes. How many games have we seen this year? Now, this might be my biggest pet peeve is a guy has a wide open layup, but he gets up in the air and at the last second passes it out to a three-point shooter who then misses. Never give up a layup. Never, ever give up a layup. Unless, of course, you're down 3 and you need a three-point shot. I get it. But just take the layup and rely on your defense to help you make some stops. But the game has changed. It used to work from inside out, and that's why you had all these big post players, and now it goes from outside in. Now, occasionally you need a guy that can play in the post, but more and more now you're seeing the guys that play in the post. You run a little UCLA cut. You put your biggest guard down there because that's where the mismatches are out on the perimeter. And then you go with your height and you force a team to double and you pass out. But I think as you're talking about, it's the Anthony Davises of the world, the Jokic's of the world, guys that can shoot the three. But you run the offense through these guys. You run a high post offense there, free throw line extended top of the key because it opens up the paint. Because what are the biggest strengths of guys now? Their ability to put the ball on the deck and attack the rim, right? So that's one of the reasons why, because of how the game has changed, you try to, because of the fact you can play some zone defense, keep guys out of the block, open up the area so guys can put it on the deck, can cut, and get to the rim that way.
Will, you are a good man for coming on for us. Our background, if you're watching on TV purposes, podcast wise, looks beautiful, but you were really patient because we had technical difficulties to start. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, George, I always come on the show with no expectations. I know I'm never sure which direction it's going to go, so we're all good.
That's a great way to end it. Will, thanks.
See you guys.
Will Perdue joining us from Chicago. Today is going to be, I like this term, a potpourri of nonsense.
Did you just come up with that?
I did. Just in the last minute. And look, let's be perfectly clear here. No, really, with Billy today.
No, he's done well. Of course, you have power. You have the power switch. Billy would have just been sick because that's that new age, that's generation, whatever he is. And he's like, not going to ask anybody any questions. But I told him, we're older. We don't get crap done, Billy.
Somehow, George was the instigator of getting us on.
You just got to go ask, man. Now, everybody, there's a lot of people that don't want to help you, but you just got to look at somebody. It's like calling 911. You have to look at somebody and say, hey, I need your help.
One of the people that helped us is Kyle Hendricks, the LA Angels pitcher's dad.
Nice.
He lives, the father lives here. Yeah. If you turn around right behind you,
right there he is.
There he is. So
wow.
His son, Kyle, is pitching in his 12th major league season for the LA Angels.
Wow. I didn't know
They
that.
have the Hendrickses, Mr. Hendricks has a daughter that's at Belmont, and that's where I met him initially.
Oh, cool.
So when we weren't getting anywhere, I went to him and another gentleman, and they really helped us.
There you go.
So we got this beautiful setup, 2 hours of nonsense coming. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. I think you will. When we come back, we're going to see what kind of an update that Billy Kister. This could be pretty humorous. This is 94.9, The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At Wilson Bank & Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank & Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. We are back. When we say we are back. Look in the background. Beautiful Hermitage golf course. Where today 94.9 and 102.5 are participating in the golf tournament. Now, there's no question it's an A-lister. Okay? No question.
What?
An A-list celeb.
Oh,
Okay. I'm probably a C plus, maybe bordering C, because they probably told somebody, look, he sucks, but he'll tell good stories.
Will just told us that.
Now, Billy, on the other hand, forgot his clubs.
Yeah, he forgot his club.
What
But we
in the
can't. But
world?
we can't
I
get on
know,
to
I
Billy
know.
because he's done a really good job of
He
getting
has.
us on.
He is. So you're gonna.
But what kind of guy? You're like my son, dude. Like you forget your head if it wasn't attached.
I don't golf enough for me to sit there and be like, all right, I need to make sure I have my club ready to go.
And I do.
That's a good fair point.
Yeah. it is
I
a
mean, do
fair
we sit
point.
down and figure out what we got to do for the day?
I
and
played golf on Memorial Day. I left him in my brother's truck.
That's your fault.
And
Nobody
I mean,
else.
it's on me.
That's your fault.
Yeah.
We don't need to hear about all that.
Right. The
Hey,
world does not want to.
Yeah, we don't need to hear about the labor pains. Just show me the baby.
I want to see the baby. Okay. Do you have an update with any substance to it?
It's got a little bit today.
It's got some meat on the bone. Looky here. We've got the new graphic for X Golf, where we will be next Friday from their brand new store number 2 in Franklin.
Yeah, 209 South Soil Oaks in Franklin. That's where we'll be. Maybe they kill you.
No, probably not.
Yeah, no.
You don't want to go off like golf or Jordan, is that it?
Simulator.
I would rather not. No.
You don't like this. You probably don't like the simulators, though. Do you?
These simulators they got nowadays are pretty nice.
Yeah.
Now. They're pretty
I will
good.
say putting is an adventure.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't
But
understand how you do that.
it's pretty realistic, especially
Oh,
at X Golf. I mean, the technology they've got is incredible.
Listen, they've done a terrific job. Those of you in particular in the Franklin area, come on out and say hello to us. One of the good things about Franklin, Battleground Academy. Don't you forget it.
I was by there yesterday.
Uh-huh.
I can't believe they allowed you in that school.
Well, barely. Barely got in.
Your mom and dad had to do a favor for someone.
Barely got in. It certainly wasn't monetary.
All right, we start with
An update.
with Minnesota.
What a novel concept.
Yes. With Minnesota season coming to an end, just short of their first NBA Finals for the second straight year, Anthony Edwards made a promise to improve. He said, I'm going to work my butt off this summer. Nobody's going to work harder than me. I'll tell you that much.
Okay, I believe him, but I also think that I hit dead on yesterday that Minnesota, when they didn't win game 4, mentally they were toast.
Yep.
They
Oh,
brought
absolutely.
nothing to the table.
Yeah,
last
but
night.
it wasn't his fault.
No, well, I mean, you got to give it to OKC because they did a good job of defending them. They had 3 guys around him all the time, but when you're in that situation and you play the best game that you can play and it's still not good enough because OKC plays the best that they did, that's really discouraging. It's like in a football analogy, when they're running the football and you know they're running the football, you can't stop it. That's demoralizing.
But there's a question on first take. Did Anthony Edwards cost the team the game on Monday night? Like,
No, that's not fair because
they would
Look,
be in the game. They would be
okay.
in they've already been eliminated if he wasn't on the team.
OKC is an elite
They're really
defender.
good. Yeah.
They're really good on the defensive end. And the others, the Nas, Reeds, Gobert, bless his heart, very good defensively, kind of a clod in the middle. He, if you throw a pass to him,
He might not catch it.
I'm not sure he has great hands. So they've got some thinking to do about, okay, how do we go to the next level? But speaking of your guy, Michael Jordan, they had this same issue, and it was the Detroit Pistons.
The bad boys, absolutely.
And it took him a while to get over that. People forget that because he was so great.
I'm kind of like Will, though. I'm thinking, what OKC is doing right now, they're kind of cementing themselves for maybe a decade. They're going to be good. Like, if they can keep those pieces together. Now, we all know about free agency and guys move on to get bigger. But if they can keep that together, they may be able to win multiple championships, in my opinion.
Okay, we got some MLB news. They are purchasing an equity stake in AUSL, Athletes Unlimited Softball League, partnering with this new league that is preparing for its first 4-team season, plans to expand in future years. With women's sports revenues now in excess of $1 billion per year, the imprimatur, I don't even know what that word is, of MLB helps establish the AUSL as a viable long-term entity in a sport that has seen multiple professional leagues fall.
I read that today, and I was going to ask Danny about that. Like, how, because we've heard that the NBA gets funded by the NBA. And then that's what's going to happen.
What's going on here?
I would think. Yes, it's Major League Baseball associated with softball leagues, or how they're going to try to make this professional. They're not going to have a this year. They're not going to have a city. They're going to move around. To try to get some people interested.
This is the softball league that they tried. They played over at Lipscomb. I don't know if you remember that, Kelly or George.
I don't.
There was a professional softball league that started that was similar, I think, to this. There were not very many teams, and there were some big time players that I remember going to one of the games, but didn't work. Obviously didn't work out.
I'll say this. Think about this. You don't hear a peep out of MLB right now about expansion.
No, you haven't.
Partly because they probably have solved the Oakland issue. It looks like everything's going to go through in Vegas.
Yes.
And that while I don't think anybody's thrilled with 3 years in Sacramento, that appears to be the least of the problem. On the flip side, Tampa Bay deal is an absolute mess. And because of that, they've become hear no evil, see no evil. We ain't talking about it. Manfred made this big to-do about how he wanted this thing done before he retired, as though this would be, one piece of his legacy.
Right.
And a significant piece of it. I'm not convinced anymore that they can get all that done by the time he retires.
What is happening with Tampa Bay, George? Like, what are they doing? Like, and they're one of the teams that you look, and it's, I'm sorry to say, but one of your Braves too. And I was going to ask Dan about this, but there's so many expectations coming into the season, and they've been very average this year. They're one of the teams that have been very average that people thought they were going to do something.
Oh, it's the first thing when Danny comes on we're going to get to is what in the world's going on there.
Yeah.
But speaking of the Braves have been apparently, and I don't appreciate this, they have been the biggest complainer about the possibility of Nashville becoming a major league city. And look, I'm a Braves fan, but screw them on that. I'm not going to sit there and applaud that. Our city deserves to be considered. The Atlanta Braves can't handle that. Then get out. I mean, really.
I'm sure there's a lot of fans up here, and that's what they're concerned about.
They are.
I mean, hey, if you're an Atlanta Braves fan, which you're always going to be an Atlanta Braves fan, you might go to, if they do have a team in Nashville, you're going to go to some games, but you're still always going to be a Braves guy.
Now let's see what item number 3 of the update would be in our potpourri of nonsense. Yes. Thank you.
Well, for the Carolina Hurricanes, it was the end of their season last night in the loss to the Florida Panthers. That was a tough. I thought they had a lot of opportunities tied up late in the last 2.5 minutes, and just weren't enough. But the Panthers,
so you saw it.
Oh yeah,
I saw it. Did you see it? Okay, so they're up 2-0. And I'm sitting there saying, you know what, Kelly kidding. Because I'm about to go 2-0 again.
Yeah, because you got the Thunder.
They're up 2-0, and I'm flipping back and forth, and I flip to the NBA game, and the next thing I know, 10 minutes later, Florida's up 3-2.
Why would you flip back to the NBA game? I cut that on for a few minutes, and I'm like, it's 35. Like, it was
because when I get
32 at half.
When I get one right, I need to rebel on it.
But the Panthers advanced to their 3rd straight Stanley Cup final with a 5-3 win. Obviously, they rallied from down 2-0. This Carter Verhaeghe, Kid, have you seen the stats since the start of the 22 playoffs? Florida is 25-2 when Verhaeghe scores a goal.
Oh, wow.
So keep that in mind if you're looking to throw some money in the finals here. But the Panthers they're looking they're set. All of the quotes after that there's no messing around. They didn't touch the trophy. They touched it last year and lost.
Yeah.
If you remember. So they didn't touch it. So what's the name of that?
The Stanley Cup trophy was in
No. The conference final trophy. I forget the name of it, but
makeup one. Conn Smythe. Yeah.
But they said this year
The Gary Bettman trophy.
But they said this year it's all business.
Stanley Cup trophy, baby.
So what it feels like you've got are third round series in both the NBA and the NHL have been, let's just face it, they've been kind of duds.
But there's always a round in every playoffs that's pretty bad.
Yeah, but here's what's coming. Edmonton, Florida. Those are two Godzillas in the NHL. Indiana, OKC. I know the NBA is cringing because it's not a big market. But you know what? That'll be a hell of a series.
That's what I was going to ask you yesterday. Is this stuff like there's no big name teams in the NBA play like the Knicks? When have the Knicks last been significant? The last couple of years, but
in the mid-90s.
but you don't have a Celtics, you don't have a Lakers, you don't have a San Antonio Spurs. These are all
the blue blood.
Right. You have small market teams like the OKCs and the Minnesota. It's funny how this stuff is changing.
I like it. Why can't that be good for the league? Everybody's like, oh, this is bad for the league. Well, yeah, it's not great for ratings.
That's what Will just said. He said, I think the NBA is going to be fine.
Yeah.
Now I don't like all this. And I think Willie brought up a good point about the 3-point shooting. But like when you get blown out in a playoff game like that, you never saw that when George and I were growing up. Those teams fought to the end.
That's not good.
It's not good. I don't like that. I don't understand how that happens.
Although it's not totally true. Man, I remember, and this is why I remember this, I don't know. In the 80s, everybody's excited. Lakers, Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
Game 1 was on Memorial Day in the old Boston Garden, which by then was a dump. It had no air conditioning. And I think it was Boston beat them by like 35.
Oh,
and it was the Memorial Day Massacre. Anyway, let's see if there's an item 4. What do you think?
Alabama's LeBaron Philon is withdrawing from the NBA draft and will return to Alabama for his sophomore season.
Okay.
So we had big news for Kentucky, now big news for Alabama.
Okay,
also
let me
Auburn,
ask this. Was that a little premature? I mean, his thought that he was ready for the NBA, he's a nice player. Is he that
but
good?
It's becoming more common for these players.
Good, man. He's a pretty good player.
He was pretty good for Alabama this year.
Good enough to step into the NBA right now?
Probably not right now.
Probably not.
I mean, maybe for a bad team, but Philon's coming back. Todd Pettiford is back at Auburn. Owe is back at Kentucky.
The
SEC might be better. I mean, people say that.
And there's no way
every year,
you could think that, but you might be right.
Also, the NCAA president came out and said that the NCAA tournament may expand to 72 teams as early as 2026. That's according to Matt Jones on Twitter of Kentucky Sports Radio just saw.
Yeah, my guess is that what he's really saying with that is, okay, you go from 8 to 72. The thing in the 80s got to 64.
Yeah.
And then they created this thing to go to 68.
The play-in stuff,
When I said on the air that it was funding the Contras and the Nicaraguans. What I think they will do is just simply expand that Tuesday and Wednesday before the tournament really begins.
Really?
Yeah, I think you'll now have 8
instead of 4.
4 of which will be housed in Dayton, and then 4 of which, frankly, ought to be at Memorial Gym in Nashville. You're looking for 2 great old barns.
Yes, that's pretty good.
Looky here. Derek Mason.
There he is.
D. Mason. Do you think we could, if we threw out a time,
I think we could get him.
Derek,
I think we got him.
would you come on at that?
I think we got him, man.
Okay, hold on.
It looks like he just got finished working out, dude. He's awfully vascular right now.
Would you come on around, let's say, 11:15? Today is a potpourri of nonsense. We'll screw your show.
Yeah, it's really good in itself. Man, don't worry about our time.
Okay, I don't think Adam That was a good try. It was a really good try. See if we ever ask you again.
One more note on that expansion. At least do the play-in format for the final teams, like you said. The final mid-majors. You know, your Indiana States, your Missouri State, whoever. Final mid-majors versus the final high majors. Because there's some high majors that people said, I don't know, they should have gotten in.
Well, for instance,
the high majors and the mid-majors, and fight for the.
So one of the conferences that needs to benefit from this is the Missouri Valley, Belmont or Murray.
Right.
That's a good league, and I personally, I think they've gotten screwed.
That's a really good league.
They win a one good league.
Yeah, really good league, George.
So I've got to say, under duress,
I do have one more.
Bonus cup.
What in the world, dude? Hey, you're getting paid today, dog. You're getting a little overtime. And you're not going to get taxed on that also.
It's not going to show up in your paycheck.
According to On3 Sports on Twitter, the College Football Hall of Fame will lower its win percentage from 60% to 59.5%, making Mike Leach eligible to join. How cool is that?
That is.
Yeah, first of all.
Which we knew was going to happen.
Well, but first of all, why did they need that to begin? Why did they need that percentage to begin with?
It's just, I don't know. I didn't even know they did that. Is that what they do, Billy?
60%.
I had no clue. You got to, as a head coach, you've got to be up above 60%. Yeah, I don't understand that.
But that is crazy that he was that close. That's how ridiculous the rule was.
Right.
Okay, after the break, I believe I'm right that Danny Evans will join us, and I can tell you right off the bat. Question number one, numero uno. What in the hell is going on with the Braves? I'm concerned.
I know you are.
I'm very concerned.
I'm still reading things though that say they're getting there, George.
Oh, you know what? And they might be right. I hope they're right. But this team looks deader than a doorknob right now.
Snicker get them there.
I'm not sure. This is 94.9, The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 292-3400. Okay, we are back. What hole is this?
I mean, it's got to
behind
be.
us?
It's got to be either 9 or 18.
So we are playing in the 102.5 and 94.9 Golf Classic. It may have an official name.
I've played open. I've played many times, but I don't think I played this side. I played the back. I think it's the governor and what is it, the president and the governor, something like that. I haven't played this.
Mike Eller, who is the owner, simply looked at me and said, "I'll say you not." Okay. So we got this great setup that is beautiful. I mean, any day you're like a golf course or a ballpark, you're not in the studio. That's a great day. Danny knows exactly what I mean by that because his life has been centered around ballparks over the years. And I know you subscribe to that even as bad as the Rockies were, you would go out there. It's a great day, isn't it?
It's always a good day, George. Some days you lose by a little bit more than you want. But frankly, any day at the ballpark for me is a good day at the ballpark. And I'm actually doing the same thing you're doing later on today. And I consider it a charity golf outing because I'm playing against a guy who's a whole lot better than me.
So Danny, because we're out of the golf course, I have dubbed today's show a potpourri of nonsense. And just kind of told the listeners, look, you got to kind of bear with us. Let's see how all this plays out here at the golf course. So, you know where I'm going at the beginning. Danny, I want to be upbeat when it comes to the Braves, but right now I don't see much to be upbeat about. And what really concerns me, they look dead. I just don't see any emotion. I don't see any spark. Talk to me. Get me off the ledge.
Well, I mean, first of all, George, they're still going to win 86, 87, 88 games. I mean, that's what they're going to win. It may not be enough in the National League because the National League's way better than it's been. I think 7 or 8 of the best 10 teams in the game are National League clubs this year. I don't want to put too much emphasis in an early season game, but the doubleheader today is a big deal for the Bravos. When you've got Shawver and you've got Sale going today against a couple real good guys in Sanchez and Wheeler in Philly, it's really important to play well. And it could be the thing that jumpstarts them. But the problem I think they have, George, and Kelly's been through this, when you get out to a bad start, you're 0-7. Just to get to 500, you got to play really well, and they did. And sometimes that'll take some out of you. The mental hurdle of getting to 500, I think they're a couple games under, 3 games under right now. George, they're still 5+ games out of the wild card. And they're not that far away. A good week to 2 weeks, and they're back in. I wouldn't give up on them yet. I think they need to play really good baseball for an extended period, which is a lot to ask. But now that they've got their players back, it's a different club, and I think teams will see that. I still think they're one of the better teams. I don't think they're as good as Philadelphia, but I think they have a shot to get in as a wild card.
So Danny, help me with this. They've had offensive issues basically the entire year. And in the past, under Brian Snitker, they've been able to just kind of sit back You know, one of their boppers will hit a 3-run homer and offensively it all works out. Well, all of a sudden in 2025, none of that is working out. Doesn't he have to start playing a little more small ball?
He might have to, but George, sometimes your club isn't as capable of playing that kind of baseball. You have to ask guys to do what they're capable of doing. And once you get out of that game plan, players start to press. The team starts to feel the vibe in the clubhouse that you've got to alter your game plan. I think what we have here is a very good club that had a very poor start, a substandard year last year, and they're probably doubting. And I think for all the listeners, the hardest thing in baseball, maybe the hardest thing to do in sports, is hit and offense. And that's compounded, George, with them playing really poorly on the road thus far. And, I know, they got out to the bad start on the road, but they're 10 under on the road. And you can't compete for a playoff spot or get over 500 asking your club to play out of their mind at home and struggle offensively. I think what we have here is a very good team that's trying to surface and trying to be uber competitive. They've got a tough weekend series against the Red Sox, but it's at home. So I think they've got a shot to turn it around. Late May is not usually when you want to be full throttle, but I think they kind of have to right now.
Okay. I'm about to throw one at you, maybe George. I just don't really know. So when it comes to town next Tuesday, Sunday, obviously, I'm very interested because there's at least one or two down there that I'm really curious about. Right now, the bullpen sucks. You don't know one day to the next what you're getting out of it. And by the way, I don't think it's Alex Anthopoulos' fault. I think the media squashed him into a hole where he didn't have a lot of money to spend. So he's got a guy down in Gwinnett that in the past was a Hall of Fame reliever, Craig Kimbrell. I'm not hearing a lot about bringing him up. Danny, what no, and what should I be looking for?
I wouldn't rush your hopes on Kimbrell. I think Kimbrell's been a good pitcher in the past, George. I think you're right, a borderline Hall of Fame candidate. His command of his fastball has not been as good in recent years. He used to overpower people with a really weak slot and a very difficult guy to pick up. Doesn't seem to be the same guy. I have not seen video of him recently, but I think to think that he's going to make the difference is a struggle for me. I've watched Iglesias struggle. What's he blown? 5 or 6 saves, and they're just bad command pitches at critical times. And for a reliever, you can't get away with not commanding your fastball in the last 3 outs of the game. The tie game last week that he came in and he gave up a bomb. He just hasn't been as good as they need him to be. But frankly, George, part of the reason they're so reliant on their bullpen is their offense hasn't been as good as it should have been.
Right.
And when it does, it puts more emphasis on your bullpen and on your starters to, alleviate the run scoring from the other team. And the whole team at that time starts to feel the pressure. But I don't think they're done, but I think they're in a precarious situation right now.
Yeah. So you're as wired to the baseball community as any human being I know. What's out there is that Brian Snitker is going to retire at the end of the season. Danny, from what you know, is that pretty much a foregone conclusion?
I haven't heard that, George. You're more dialed in on the Braves than I am. he's had a hell of a career. I mean, this guy is a baseball lifer. I think one thing about him is he has a phenomenal competitive side, and he's a great communicator in the clubhouse. So, I haven't heard that, but at the same time, you never really know what's going on in the minds of a GM or a manager this stage of the season, because if in fact they're contemplating that, that's the first sign that it might happen sometime soon. If it's not this year, in the future. I think one thing they've got is they've got a guy who knows his club, and they've got a guy who's done a really good job and has, I'm sure, the confidence of the players in the front office. And that's a big thing this time of the year. If you've got a guy that your players believe is making the right move. But George, and this is not an easy thing to say when you're a club operator, the players got to play at a higher level now. You have expectations of certain guys who have not performed. And if they don't perform, they are not going to be a postseason team.
Danny, I want to shift to some College World Series kind of stuff. I remember coming out of college. Now, that's been, before the Peloponnesian War, according to Billy. But back then, when the NCAA baseball tournament started, you might get a phone call. You might get a score in the newspaper. You certainly got no coverage. You got no TV. And now, 40 years later, this has become a gigantic TV deal. And I love it. Tomorrow when it starts, Billy will do wall-to-wall scoreboard updates. People care. Talk to me a little bit about, on the major league level, is there any difference in the amount of attention that the MLB scouts pay, or just people in general?
George, I think one of the great things that's happened to college baseball is elongating the season into the draft. We're drafting now in July, which I think really helps the draft, but really helps college baseball. Because remember, the focus right about now, Memorial Day weekend, the draft would always be next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And the problem with that is all the attention of the game would go to the draft instead of the tournament. ESPN now covers it game to game. I mean, it's amazing. You can watch every single game on ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN, the college network. What I love about it is now there's a hype, and it's backed up. And we have this vibe about college baseball that didn't exist 10 to 15 years ago, which is we're watching the future stars of the game. The game has begun to draft like 75% college in the 20-round draft. And as a result, fans are seeing players in this tournament literally within a year. Look at Skeens. We're going to see guys play in the next 4 weeks that will be playing later this year and next year on opening day rosters. And the other thing, George, is this. I think baseball has stability at the college side. The elite clubs are usually elite because they have great evaluators, great tacticians, and I think the game is still really pure, where people see the game and they see a game that resembles the major league game. They don't hear the ping that they heard 20 years ago. They hear a bat that sounds more like the bat they hear in big league games. But I think the biggest thing, and it goes with NCAA softball also, ESPN does a great job of hyping the two. And as a result, every night you're watching highlights from the tournaments. So as a result, the women's softball and the men's baseball have a platform. And they did not have that 7 or 8 years ago, but they sure do now. I mean, look at Vandy. The whole town of Nashville is fired up, and it's only the opening regional.
So tell me this. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to see either Vandy or Tennessee. If you have, give me some thoughts on what you see out of the two of them.
George, admittedly, I have not. And I'm kind of kicking myself. I'm usually really good at what I call surfing the college game. I kind of graze it like a cow does in a pasture, and I've done such a poor job. So I am all in, and I mean, like this weekend, I mean, I got my TVs right in front of me here. I'm going to be all over these college tournaments. So I'm ignorant when it comes to this year's college game. I mean, I know who's good, and I can't help but root for Vandy, but I admittedly am not as dialed in as I have been in past years, and it's only because I've been so locked in on the big league game with a lot of work.
Danny, we're going to go to the break, and then you're going to talk to Kelly, so it'll get a lot more intelligent. But you're also going to be forced to participate in Stat of the Day.
Nice.
I love it.
In other words, it's called passing the buck.
That's correct.
Yes, and that's what we're doing.
Let's phone a friend, Danny Evans.
And Kelly, is that hat a signifier of where you stand here going into 18?
I wish, man. The other day I was even going through. I was going to 15 even, and then the bottom dropped out, and we stopped playing.
I thought it was IQ.
It might be IQ too. I mean, it could be IQ as well. If you see some of the scores I had in college.
Oh wow. Okay, so
it.
Get ready. We're going to go to the break, and then we'll go Stat of the Day, and then you and Kelly will go at it. So all of you stick around on a show I'm calling A Potpourri of Nonsense. This is 94.9 The Fan.
I trained my entire life to be the best. I was one of the fastest women in the entire country. But woke politics made me swim against a man, sharing the pool and the locker room. That's not just dangerous, it's degrading. Thank God for Marsha Blackburn. No one fights harder to protect us. Marsha Blackburn will always stand for strong women, because she's one of us.
I'm Marsha Blackburn, and I approve this message.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
All right, we've got more baseball talk with Danny Evans coming up. But first, Stat of the Day, a.k.a. Phone a Friend with Danny Evans. Brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, not far from here. Hendersonville, Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to the website. That is applecollisioncenters.com.
I'll bet you Stan Harrison is listening. How about that?
I bet you he is. Yeah. All right. Stat of the day. No graphics. I'm going to read it aloud here. So Danny, pay close attention. Everyone knows about the Thunder Big Three the last time they made the finals. But can you remember who the starting center was for the Thunder last time they won finals? A little head. He is a sports media personality.
He was also rebound she. I can't remember.
Y'all can have it.
Is it on ESPN?
Yes.
Is it Kendrick Perkins?
I mean, we didn't even ask. Hold on, let's get Danny into this.
Is that final?
Hold on, Danny.
Yeah, I just saw his face.
Yeah. Danny?
I'm going to guess George Mikan.
Speaking of good.
Just because he's a DePaul grad, and I'm root for my DePaul grads, but I think it might have been Perkins. I honestly, I can't remember that exact guy.
Wow. Okay, so put it up there, Billy. I mean,
It's not George Mikan. It is Kendrick Perkins.
Had a baby Billy.
in a show that has had a little reefery of nonsense.
Correct.
Got one right. So
Kelly, feeling good?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling great. I've got you on the other end, so you can ask you any question when it pertains to baseball or softball. I'm gonna ask you something about that.
Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
We are now officially in hour number 2 of the show from the Hermitage Golf Course, where we will participate. You notice I use the word participate in this golf outing today that involves 1025 and 949. What is the name of it, Billy?
615 Open.
Okay, well, after I start hitting it, maybe 614.
I actually came up on some people that were trying to give George away. He was with this force and that force, and said, "I want to give you." And they're like, "We don't want it."
Get in the hell out of here.
Yeah, Kelly, trade him for a mulligan. You just, I mean, listen, you know, if I can get you a mulligan for a mulligan, I have no loyalty.
No question. So, hey, let's start on a lighter note here, because two of the things that George brought up one, and you brought up the other one, but I'm going to start with George. Y'all talk about ballparks, and I know you're a big fan of the ballpark.
Turn your not mine.
Am I going? Okay, so I know you're a fan of the PNC Park in Pittsburgh. I know you like that one. But which I know you love just being in a park. But which is the coolest park you've been in, and what is the coolest thing about a park that you've had, like food or something that they do in that park? I'm gonna jog your brain a little bit.
Well, Kelly, first of all, I'm a foodie. I'm a ballpark foodie, so I have lots of fun. You know, there's that little 20-minute break after batting practice that if you're a scout, you're an evaluator, you can go get lost and find your spot. My favorite ballpark in the world is in Osaka, Japan. It's called Koshien. It's the most magical environment I've ever been in. It is spectacular. Honestly, the best baseball experience I've ever had. In the United States, you know, I love Petco Park in San Diego. I'm very partial to Wrigley Field. I grew up there. It's just an environment so different. You're in a neighborhood. You're surrounded by buildings, and your proximity to the field, Kelly, is so amazingly close. I like Fenway Park a lot. I like Citi Field in New York. I think it's a really good ballpark. It's a lot of fun. The Cardinal experience is to be had by everybody. It is an amazing environment. And then at the minor league side, you know, the Dayton ballpark is great. Albuquerque is absolutely awesome. And I think, Kelly, and this is really going to be in Baseball Insider, but the Madison Muskies of the Northwoods League, a college league, and any of the Cape Cod teams, oh my God, what an experience. I mean, I just fired up my Traeger grill this morning and had a brat for breakfast. Hello. And, you know, you do that on the Cape, you eat some fresh seafood. Oh, and we're going to mix in a little ball too. Real good. And Kelly, for me, garlic fries in San Francisco. Oh my gosh, what an awesome place to eat. And the bratwurst in Milwaukee, they have a special sauce that's hotter than Hades, but it's so darn good. And, sometimes the game gets in the way of the food. And as I told somebody once, I just wish they asked me if I was hungry before the game starts, because I'd like to have like a 15-minute break once in a while, go get something to eat and come back.
Now you brought up something else too. We did something a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you were on, but it was talking about the Cape Cod League. And what makes the Cape Cod League so special? Because the kids don't get paid; they just go up there for experience, and then they have to get in with the family, and they stay with the family. And you look at the ballparks, and the ballparks are packed. What makes that league so special?
There's 2 summer wood-backed collegiate leagues, Kelly, that are really incredible. Cape Cod League is amazing. It's played literally on Cape Cod on the coast of Massachusetts, and it is a spectacular environment. They're town teams. It's a nonprofit league. As you said, the kids don't get paid. They live with families. Imagine when you were 19, 20 years old, getting ready to play pro football, trying to find yourself. You get away from your teammates, you get away from your environment, and you're on your own. And you're on your own personally and playing wise. You find out what habits you have that work and don't work, and you're far less coddled than you've ever been. But you're also playing against some of the best players in the country. And the Northwoods League is right with them in terms of talent. They have a 24-team league all over the Midwest that has phenomenal environments. And what happens is these towns get behind their players. They're, in both cases, they're living it at people's homes in the community. They become a part of the community for the summer, and lifelong relationships are made where guys get to the big leagues from either league. And, some of their best friends that come visit them are still the families that hosted them. So those 2 leagues are magical. And Billy, Billy and I think Billy understands this as a college baseball fan. This is where guys find themselves. They're a bench player as a freshman. They go to the Cape, they go to the Northwoods, they get some confidence, and they come back as a sophomore, and they come back a much more confident, finished player. They believe they can play at this level. And as a result, you get guys who just change from year to year. I just find it fascinating. But the environment, Kelly, honestly, the environment in both leagues is an extraordinary experience. I told my sports management worldwide class last night that if any of them becomes a scouting director, and that's happened with our class, which is really cool, I said, I want you to hire me as your Cape Cod League special assignment scout with a credit card. So every night I can eat fresh fish and I can watch 2 games a day. Bring it on, Kelly.
So Danny, are you there? Because you're going in and out on us. Are you there still?
I'm here.
Can you hear me? Okay, so you talked about softball earlier, and the WNBA is kind of funded by the NBA, and I just read where you've got this Athlete Unlimited softball league coming out, and they're going to have 4 teams, and Major League Baseball is going to sponsor this. And I saw where Major League Baseball has sponsored softball league. You kind of talked about it where the game of college athletics is growing, and when it pertains to baseball and softball. What do you make of this new league, and what do you think about it?
Kelly, their commissioner is Kim Eng, who was the first female general manager in Major League history. She's worked for me twice. She's a spectacular human being, a great leader. I think the league's going to thrive as a result. She has just an incredible way about her, an incomparable work ethic. And fabulous interpersonal skills. And I think Major League Baseball, buying into it, they're buying into it because I think they see an exceptional leader. They see a sport that's thriving. Kelly, you would not believe here in Iowa how big girls softball is. It's enormously big. So as a result, I think what they have is, a game that's very similar to the major league game. There are some little touches that are different, but candidly, the game's fairly similar. People can understand it. It's faster. I mean, Kelly, you go to a really good college game, a really good high school game, it's over in an hour and a half to an hour and 15 minutes. And I think in today's world that fits. But I think what you're going to see is MLB Network has already made decisions to broadcast some of the AUSL games. And I think this league's going to do it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch their first year. I plan on going over to Omaha to watch one of their first tournaments just because I believe in Kim and I believe in softball. I had softball playing daughters, and I'm just so into women's softball. I think it's going to be a gloriously good thing, and I think it's TV ready. So I think as a result, it's going to work, and it's going to work big. A bold, great move by Major League Baseball.
I enjoy watching it. I when they have this time of year, I enjoy watching those games because just like you talked about, they're really fast. So let me ask you this. We've talked about Shohei, and I know how you feel about Shohei, but this guy in New York with the Yankees, Aaron Judge, is killing it right now. He's almost at 400 now. He's not going to hit 400, but still, there was something that I read today, and I've got it on my phone right here. He's got the batting average of balls in play, and he's 467, and the guy that led that was Babe Ruth, and he's 429. So he's got a shot this year to beat one of Babe's oldest records, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and that's called BABIP, Kelly. And the Major League BABIP average is about 295 to 300. So what it tells me as a baseball dude, as a bit of a stat head, as the incoming president of Sabre, I can't cast that aside. He's hitting with great luck. And part of it is his power. Part of it is he's just on. The game is being good to him right now. But when your BABIP is in the 400s, you're going to plummet at some point because the baseball gods look down and they go, you're not doing that. He's going to come down. He's going to come down, and it's not going to be falling off a cliff coming down, but he's not going to maintain that BABIP. It doesn't happen. It won't happen. So when he comes down, you'll see a gradual decline in his batting average, in his slug, in his OBP. But Kelly, this guy is having one of the greatest years ever, not just by a right-handed hitter, but by a player in baseball history. And at this stage of his career, he's kicked it up another notch. I thought the last few years we were seeing the ceiling of Aaron Judge. It's obvious that we're not. And Kelly, he doesn't have Soto in the batting order. So this is without Soto.
Right.
So this guy is doing it on his own. And, he's a fun dude to watch. And at the same time, Kelly, I think moving him to right field was a brilliant move by the Yanks. It takes some of the pressure off of him. It probably helps his body and his recovery. This guy is performing at such a high level. Great call for you to see BABIP. I didn't think I would see Kelly Holcomb 3 years ago talking about BABIP, and that's really impressive.
Appreciate it.
BABIP. Yeah. Okay.
Batting average of balls in play, George. Remember.
Very nice.
Thanks, dog.
Wow. You're a baseball fan. Danny, I can't thank you enough on short notice for changing your schedule around and making this work for us. Thank you.
For you guys, thank you. Have a great day. Let's all play a good round of golf today. As a friend of mine once said to me, anytime you chase a little white ball that eventually stops, it's a good day to be outside. Just stop it a little earlier in the round if you can.
the end. Danny, appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Bye, guys.
Danny Evans, he's absolutely the best. I'm sorry we weren't able to get that last. I think it was like thank you. Potpourri of Nonsense continues after.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
Well, our little potpourri of nonsense, a Thursday afternoon from the Hermitage Golf Course, continues. That's Robbie Stanley. Robbie hosts on 102.5 The Game, a morning show with Joe Rexroad, and he's really good. Robbie and I have worked together before. This is not our first rodeo.
It's not. It's not our first rodeo. Hopefully not our last either.
So you'll love this question, I think. When the Predators first got here, and obviously in the first couple of years that they weren't in the playoffs, the city, I found very little interest in people saying, yeah, I'm watching the playoffs. Now, 25 years later, does the Predator season ticket holder, does the big Predator fan now watch the NHL playoffs, even if they're not in it?
I think so. I think certainly way more than they used to. I think the playoff run here did a lot for that. And when you watch high-level playoff hockey, and more importantly, I think when you experience high-level playoff hockey, it's addicting. And I don't think that you can do a 3-hour show in Nashville about playoff hockey all the time if the Predators aren't involved. So I don't know. It's kind of exactly that. But I do think some of it has
most players I've ever seen, and being able to watch it on a nightly basis. I think the Predators fan out there has a deep appreciation of some of the players in our game, and their this league goes along with that as well.
So I'm going on the assumption that this is not a safe thing to do. It's going to be Edmonton in the finals against Florida again. I kind of think this time around it's Edmonton. What do you think?
I agree, and it makes me nervous because Florida has been pretty unstoppable over the last 3 years. It's incredible. The run that really not only them, but the state of Florida in general is on when you look back at the Eastern Conference and just what Tampa and the Panthers have done over the last 5-6 years. But, Edmonton, it kind of feels like, I don't know about you, George, you watch certain players and it feels like it's inevitable at some point that they're going to win. And I feel that way about McDavid and Draisaitl together. I think they're too good to not eventually win at some point. And I think this is the best team that they've had around those guys. The only thing that really scares me to death about Edmonton, which is basically a week-to-week thing with them, is their goaltending. Sometimes their goaltending looks great, which it has in this series, by the way. And when their goaltending is really good, I'm not sure how you beat them. Like you can't. You just can't stop McDavid and Draisaitl for an entire series. So if they get good goaltending, I don't know how you beat them. Their Achilles heel is, does their goaltender, turn back into a circus clown at some point? If that happens, then Florida's going to win.
Yeah, in that respect, their goaltending is on a little bit of a banana peel.
Bobrovsky last night in the final 2.5 minutes. I mean, he saved their bacon.
He's unbelievable.
Because they were firing.
It was a firing
shots
squad.
left and right.
Yeah. So that brings us more to here.
Yep.
I guess I'm one of the few left that still does media stuff from when the Predators first came into existence and Barry Trotz was named the coach. And to know him is to openly root for him because he's one of the top 5 human beings all time that's out there. But I will admit that right now I am really confused as to where he's going and what the direction is. Are you?
Yes. I think it would be hard not to be based on what's happened out there. And I almost feel like they've got 2 plans that they're trying to put together and merge into one. And one of them is trying to remain competitive and challenge and to be a threat, as he called it, before this past season. And the other is waiting on some of their younger guys in their pipeline that I do think could be legitimate players and that they're excited about. But George, when you're trying to thread the needle like that in pro sports, it's a really hard thing to do. And, you look at the signings they made last offseason. Everybody was excited. I was one of those guys that was excited. I think we all loved what happened at the time. But then you looked at the average age of the roster and you're like, whew, pretty old. Like, they better win right now. And then to have a season like they just did, your roster's kind of stuck in no man's land right now where you've got enough old players that you can't totally reshape it. And a lot of your younger players aren't ready yet. So you're kind of drifting in no man's land right now. And I feel like that's a difficult place to be. Plus, you have a goaltender who you signed to an 8-year contract that hasn't kicked in yet. It's about to. And he's had 2 consecutive years of a downturn in the numbers. It's not good.
Do you think it's because he's had a downturn or because what's in front of him has?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. I mean, watch them defensively last year. They were terrible. And that's an underrated part of why they were as bad as they were. Everybody focuses in on the scoring and their inability to put the puck in the net. And certainly that's a problem. But, I mean, look, they were a bad scoring team. They were a bad defensive team. They got bad goaltending. That's how you end up 30th in the league, right? I mean,
they were a bad team.
They were a bad team. I mean, that's what happened. So do I think that if they fix the defense in front of him, that he'll be better than he was this past year? Yes. I would also say they're paying him a lot of money to be more of an eraser than he's been the last 2 years. I mean, 2 years ago, he struggled for about half the year. And when you're paying somebody the amount of money they're paying him, you can't have your goalie struggling half the year, every year.
Yeah. So it would sure help Barry, it seems, if 1 or 2 of the young guys would emerge. In your mind, who are the 2 that you think are the most likely to take a real step forward?
Well, I would say one would be Tanner Molendijk on defense. I think he's got a pretty good chance to make the team out of camp coming up next year. He's been a kid that's been really close in each of the last 2 training camps, but he's been young, and he's had to go back to play junior hockey, and it looks like he might end up winning a Memorial Cup here in just a few weeks. So we'll see what happens on that front. But I think he's got a legitimate chance to be a really good player. He's got unbelievable skating ability. You know, I'm not going to call him Roman Josi, but he's got really good skating ability. And I think he can have a chance to impact this team pretty quickly. The forward one is interesting, George, because I look at their group of forwards that are in the pipeline right now, and I see a lot of good players. I don't know that I see any great ones. And maybe that changes with their number 5 overall pick. And, you know, I think whoever they pick at number 5 this year is probably going to be a couple years away just based on the strength of this draft right now. But I look at Matthew Wood. I was impressed by him at the end of the year. The one where they really need to take a step next year is Joachim Kimmel, their first-round pick a couple years ago. He's been in Milwaukee for a couple years now. They need him to be not only ready to play in the NHL, they need him to be a legitimate threat for them next year.
Let's talk Andrew Burnett for a minute. Is there sort of a doghouse that once a player gets in it, Barry then trades them?
It feels that way. I mean, you can make the argument that Fabro kind of got in there, and he was, you know, the Fabro part of it was interesting because he was either not in the lineup or he was playing with Roman Josi, and there was really no in between with him. So eventually they got tired of that song and dance, and they lost him for nothing after that. You know, the interesting one moving forward here is going to be Marchessault, because clearly there was some disagreement between Marchessault and Burnett. And I think you can throw Trotz in there too at the end of the year of how they do things, how they're going to fix things moving forward. And I walked away from some of his comments at the end of the season thinking to myself, all right, if they bring Andrew Burnett back, is Marchessault going to be on board? And I'm not convinced that, you know, you got Frank Saravalli of Daily Faceoff yesterday throwing it out there that he thinks Marchessault would be open to a trade and that Montreal might be a preferred destination. Or you're talking 1 year into a contract and we're already talking about trades here. So I can't separate Marchessault and what he said at the end of the year about Andrew Burnett and the coaching style and the staff and all that, and the decision by Barry Trotz to bring him back. I think it's pretty clear to see that those two are not on the same page.
Is he right in what he's saying?
I think he is. I mean, look, I was the one that asked him those questions, and I looked right at him and talked about the system, and he said, clearly it didn't work. Well, it's hard to look at what they did last year and say that he's wrong, right? Like, yeah. I mean, it didn't work. Now, am I convinced that Andrew Burnett is a bad coach? I mean, no. I think he's got a pretty good track record prior to last year. But you don't always have to be a bad coach to not be the right coach for this team, and that's what I wonder. If it were me, I've said this. I think most other organizations, George, he would have been gone after this year. We know that Barry Trotz is very loyal and very patient. So I wonder, conventional wisdom is going to say if they struggle 10, 15 games in the next year, everybody's going to want to run him out. Does Barry Trotz feel that way? That's going to be the question. How much of a rope is he going to get with Barry Trotz?
So I guess the second part is, okay, if that were to happen and Barry stays stubborn about it, does it start to stick to him?
Yes, I think so. And I think it already is with some of the fan base. Now, this has been an organization throughout the years, as you well know, that is incredibly patient. I mean, you're talking about 2 general managers in the history of their franchise and now 4 head coaches. So that doesn't happen in pro sports over this amount of time. With Bill Haslam stepping in, does that change? Is he a little less patient than they've been in the past? Because to me, that's what it boils down to.
When does the 100% Bill Haslam kick in?
I think it's later this summer. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he officially steps in later this year. I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So is your gut feeling that in this coming season they can be a playoff contender?
Well, it's hard for me to get there after what we saw last year. I look at their roster and I say, there's no way they're as bad as they were last year. this is a league where you can be bad one year and then pretty good again the next year, and vice versa, right?
It does happen.
I mean, think about the first round a year ago. Vancouver and Nashville. Both teams kind of felt like they were on the up, and neither one of them made the playoffs this year. That happens all the time in this league. The thing that scares me to death about this team and why I would say they're probably not making the playoffs next year is just their age. I think you're too far in limbo right now where you've got Yossi and Stamkos and O'Reilly getting into the mid-30s. And it's hard for me to expect them to just totally rebound next year. And if you don't have those guys rebound to having 40-goal seasons, in Stamkos' case, or getting back to a Norris Trophy caliber defenseman in Yossi's case, if you don't have that, you need some younger guys to fill those voids. And I just don't know that they have enough of those younger guys that are ready to do that right now.
Okay, last thing. Let's go back to Marshall for a minute. So the belief has been that, if there is a trade, that the Predators would have to pay some of the salary. Is that what they're dealing with? And have they made a decision that, we'll do that if it'll move it?
I think that very well could be what it is. And I don't think the money itself is that much of a deterrent. He's getting paid $5.5 million per year. The problem, I think, is the return. He's 34, and he's got 4 years left on the deal. And nobody other than the Predators last year was willing to give him 5 years. Predators gave him 5 years. I think some teams are scared off by the time. The thing the Predators have going in their favor is they've got a lot of draft capital, and I don't think they're going to have to attach like a first-round pick to move some of them up. And they have the cap going up in the NHL. The cap is going up astronomically over the next few years. So that's going to help maybe a team that was a little bit more hesitant to take on a contract like that last year. Maybe a team like Montreal said, you know what, we like our work, the cap's going up.
So they make yes on the show. You got two choices.
Okay.
Best wishes for the upcoming scholastic year.
Yes.
Or a plaster golf team.
You know what? It would be my honor to take this plaster golf team.
Because if you look at our first team, we'll know for certain. Okay. The TNT isn't the problem. Sure.
What happens if I say we do the work?
Well, we got to rebuild it. Thank you for doing this as always. Bobby Stanley here in the mornings on 105 the game. Joe Rexroad from 6 until
9.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll go to the break. Kelly Holcomb will return. Our potpourri of nonsense shifts to college football and start times. Oh, yeah, this is going to be big. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
I trained my entire life to be the best. I was one of the fastest women in the entire country. But woke politics made me swim against a man, sharing the pool and the locker room. That's not just dangerous, it's degrading. Thank God for Marsha Blackburn. No one fights harder to protect us. Marsha Blackburn will always stand for strong women because she's one of us.
I'm Marsha Blackburn, and I approve this message.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
We are back meaning the Hermitage Golf Course. Those of you who are watching this by way of podcast, you can see that. Others of you will just have to use your imagination. The hole behind us, I actually parred one time.
You did?
Yeah.
It's the par 3, right?
I know that feels like an out-and-out lie.
That's not a par 3.
Is that the tee box right there?
Yeah, that's the tee box.
Oh.
But you can't drive that. You can almost drive it. Mine might be close.
Well, you
George would be lucky to get it over the tall grass right in front of the shucks.
Among the dignitaries today, we saw correspondent Perdue. Perdue is distributing these. I want to get these real close. So we got what you said about the quality of it? It's microbiome, right? I've never heard that term before.
Yeah, it's gonna clean your clubs up nice.
Okay, well, we need that then.
Absolutely.
God knows. I hit in places that not many people play in. Okay, so we promised you some college football news. By the way, if you're just joining us, we have dubbed today's show a potpourri of nonsense. The truth of it is, we've had some pretty good stuff going. Billy, don't blow it here.
Thanks for the confidence there, George.
You're welcome.
I do want to say, outside of college football real quick, the
we have
Capitals.
breaking news?
Yes, the Washington Capitals have sent an email to season ticket holders saying next year will be Alex Ovechkin's final NHL season.
Yeah.
Which don't think that's a big shock.
No, but I guess that's pretty cool that he's gone ahead and let it out. And I would assume most of the teams in the league will do some sort of a ceremony honoring him. You know, as you see oftentimes in baseball, where somebody who's had a great career, Chipper, when he left Atlanta, you know, when he retired, there were several of the teams that did stuff. So,
all right, but in college football, we've got early season game times.
Okay, does this mean we have to write these down on paper? I used to say that, and people would do it, and you're like, not anymore.
Yeah, get your napkin out.
Yeah.
Week 1, Thursday night, season opener, Central Arkansas at Missouri. It'll be big.
Boy,
that's a big one there.
7:30 on SEC Network.
Why?
It's the only game that's playing SEC that night.
On Friday, Auburn at Baylor on Fox at
That's
8
a good
o'clock.
Okay.
8 o'clock Central?
Eastern, sorry.
Okay,
So 7 o'clock Central.
We're on Central.
Thank you.
Yeah, figure it out, Billy.
Saturday, Texas at Ohio State on Fox at 11.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yep, that's the big noon kickoff game.
Oh, wow.
That's not in prime time?
Nope, Texas at Ohio State.
That's dumb. That's not dumb.
We're still going to make money, George.
Yeah,
It's big noon kickoff.
Okay, but whatever.
Well,
but
the
I mean,
prime time game is LSU at Clemson.
first of all, now that's
a good one.
That's
who's that one on?
ABC.
See, I if I'm Fox, I go right up against it.
Well,
Really?
Fox, the thing is, Fox doesn't have do they have a big night game?
Their deal is
That's the
is
big noon. They don't have a
kickoff.
big
That's
night
their,
game.
That's their deal.
Well, turn it into the big night game.
Well, it's the big noon kickoff, George.
And I
I mean, the
think it
last
is.
couple
At
of
11
years,
in the
they've done a really
morning.
good job of marketing big noon kickoff.
At 11 in the morning. You don't think it'll be slightly uncomfortable sitting in those pictures during all the old shoes? You would if you were sitting there. I wouldn't be sitting there. Who cares?
Saturday.
Quite the humanitarian you are.
Also at 11 a.m. This might get, well, I don't know about the ratings. Syracuse and Tennessee in Atlanta at 11 a.m. on ABC.
Okay.
Indoors.
Kind of expected.
Yeah. Also, Alabama at Florida State, 2:30 on ABC.
That
Saturday.
will be a little warm in Tallahassee and muggy and humid.
Yeah.
Charleston Southern at Vandy at 6 o'clock at night at First Bank Stadium. So night game. That's
Okay.
Georgia State at Ole Miss, 6:45 that Saturday. Also on Sunday, Virginia Tech and South Carolina in Atlanta at 2 o'clock on ESPN.
Central time.
Yes.
Thank
Interesting time
Now,
there.
Okay. Who are the teams?
Virginia Tech and South Carolina.
Is that, wait a minute.
That's the 31st, Sunday the 31st.
Who was it South Carolina got into at the bowl game?
That was Bielema in Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah.
I matched them back up, have a little prize fight.
Is that quarterback coming back?
Altmaier, yeah.
Kid? No,
Yeah.
the Sellers
Oh,
kid.
Sellers, yeah.
Sellers.
He's going back.
Okay.
He's top 2 quarterback in the SEC. Week 2, just looking at Tennessee and Vandy here. Tennessee hosts ETSU 2:30 that Saturday on SEC Network Plus. Vanderbilt at Virginia, not Virginia Tech, 6:30 ACC Network. In Blacksburg.
Nighttime in Blacksburg.
Texas had as good as it was last year, though, and they'll probably be fire in that game. That seems like an early turning point in the season for Vandy at Virginia Tech at night. Week 3, Georgia at Tennessee, 2:30 ABC.
Not a surprise.
Okay.
Week 3.
A&M Notre Dame in South Bend, 6:30 on NBC that Saturday.
Nobody, you don't see NBC playing that at 11.
Nobody will be watching that, Billy.
Oh, sure. Yeah. The Catholics versus
the what?
I'm trying
the
to
J.R. Ewing wannabes.
Yeah. By the way, I watched Catholics versus Convicts for the first time in full over the weekend. That thing's incredible.
It's incredible. It's nice. It was cool.
It is. But the kids that
Lou
sold the shirts.
Lou Holtz's quote at halftime or before the game.
I don't remember what
you
he said.
saved Jimmy Johnson blank.
Oh yeah,
for me.
yeah. I want him out in the parking lot or something like that. Yeah,
he was like, I know things are going to go on, blah blah blah, but you saved Jimmy Johnson for me.
But they
saved Jimmy Johnson for me, fellas.
But they kind of treated the kids that sold the shirts like they were communists.
Yeah, they did.
I mean,
they did.
Yeah, what
supposed to be more
the Catholic school.
Let's
not fight them young fellas. That was a good entrepreneur thing to do. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, baby.
Vanderbilt at South Carolina, week 3, either 7 o'clock or 7:45 on either ESPN or SEC Network.
No, that's Eastern time.
Or 6 o'clock or 6:45. Sorry.
Yeah.
George is big on those Eastern times.
Yeah,
what, I mean, it doesn't do any good.
What are you, Rain Man, right now? Is that the movie? I mean, what are you doing?
It doesn't do any good to give people Standard Time if you're on Central. Think about that.
I mean, I understand
We may
that.
have some listeners in the Eastern Time Zone.
We might.
Could.
That's a thought.
We're on the interweb now. You know what I'm saying?
The interweb.
The World Wide Web.
Week 7.
What is that?
Week 7, Oklahoma and Texas in Dallas, 2:30 on ABC.
Okay.
No surprise. Georgia, Florida, and Jacksonville, 2:30 on ABC in Week 10. Ole Miss, Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl, 11 a.m. on ABC. This is Week 14, rivalry week. Georgia.
No, wait a minute. Is that Thanksgiving week?
Yes.
Okay.
Georgia at Georgia Tech at 2:30 on ABC. A&M at Texas, 6:30 on ABC.
A&M and Tejas.
There you go. That's a rivalry for sure.
The
game,
eyes of Texas are upon us.
Out of these games, which games are you most excited for? LSU at Clemson, Michigan, Oklahoma. That's September the 6th. Wisconsin at Alabama, September the 13th. Georgia at Tennessee, September the 13th.
Well, the Georgia Tennessee will be right on top. I might be at the LSU Clemson game.
Really?
Might be.
Well, is that the one you said? Where's that? Where's that
That's
at?
at
Saturday.
Is that Clemson?
Death Valley.
Saturday of Labor Day weekend.
Have you been to Clemson before? You've been to that stadium?
I've done a basketball game. I've never done a football
It's a
game
big
there.
stadium,
It
man.
is a
Stadium's
man.
gonna
It
be
goes
rocking.
way up.
It goes way up. It goes
Yeah.
straight up.
Straight
too.
up.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Who's the
people?
Who's the real Death
Their
Valley?
people consume a lot of alcohol for those night
Who's
games.
the real Death Valley? I don't know.
LSU.
I mean, I'd say LSU.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
Clemson's got a chance if because
Well-
they'll be juiced up and ready to go, and if they win that game, wonder what
Clemson-
kind of
Clemson's deal can get really close. Depends on how good the team is.
Yeah.
I'll
If
say
the
this:
team's
if
good.
LSU and Brian Kelly lose that game, the Cajuns are going to lose it because
Yeah.
there's a lot of pressure on Brian Kelly this season.
Look at the dignitaries filing in. Jeff
he is.
Fisher, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Okay, we'll go to our final break, and then the moment all of you have waited for. I have won 3 of my last 4, which pathetically qualifies for kind of an uptick. Plaster Bet of the Day is next on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
Final segment from the Hermitage Golf Course ahead of today's 615 Open and ahead of George's golf round. We'll have a full report on that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
They're actively trying to shop him around to see who wants to play with him.
I've got to think.
Danny's idea of trading a mulligan, that was great.
I've got to think that the way I've been sold is, look, he sucks, and you know that ahead of time.
And he'll distract you.
But he's going to give you he'll tell good stories. Yeah. And if you're cool with that, then
You can remember. You're like an elephant. You can remember everything. I've never seen anybody play like you.
So true. All right. That is a day. We take a look at what happened last night. KC covered the 8.
because I kind of laid it out the way it was. That OKC, that Minnesota had basically shot their last firework. Monday night.
They did.
And they got boat raced. Carolina, that pissed me off because I thought I had a chance. When they were up 2-0.
They were about to tie it late.
Yo,
I thought
man,
they were.
So it was 4-3, and Florida got a penalty, and then Carolina removed the goaltender.
So it was 6-on-4.
Yeah, and it was a firing squad.
Bobrovsky stood tall.
I got screwed in that one.
No,
so
karma.
We've got one. Well, this is a nice picture. That was cut in half. Those of you who are watching, half man. We're going Edmonton tonight, and I'm sure you want some scientific reason. Here goes. I got screwed last night by having the confidence in the team that was down 3-1. I have learned my lesson. I'm not going Dallas Stars. I'm going Edmonton Oilers. Trust me, I'm going to make you a lot of money, but it might not be on this one.
But you're not quite sure. It's not a
no,
book.
I'm not. No, oh, good Lord, no.
See, because Robbie talked about the goaltending for Edmonton.
Yeah, you never know for sure.
Right.
Who is their goalie? That's probably not a good thing for the Oilers.
One of them's is it Skinner? Is one of them?
I think so.
Yeah.
Look at all these sheets.
For the purposes of this, who cares? We're almost done, aren't we? Tomorrow.
You know that's what this place is known for, Billy, the sheep out here, right? You correct? You know that?
You told me that last time.
Okay, all right, yes.
Tomorrow on the show, Billy will have his stuff together and will be giving up to the minute college baseball updates. We don't want to hear, fourth inning and find out it's in the eighth. We want accurate information on those scoreboard updates. Joe Gilly from D1 will join us during 3 o'clock hour. Will Heflin, former University of Tennessee pitcher under Tony Vitello, will join us at 4 o'clock, and we'll get his thoughts on a regional that feels like Tennessee ought to advance. Anyway, our thanks to the folks at Hermitage Golf Course. It's just beautiful. Never been out here before. This is a great place to play. The problem, my game sucks. But we know that ahead of time, and tomorrow we'll have a full report on it. Did I do anything to help my team? You'll have to join us to find out on 94.9 The Fan.